Hi guys, I'm logging out and today we are with a new devlog about the game The Electorate, the fourth one the fourth devlog which explore the pools. Let's read it. Pools 101. My favorite thing about his favorite thing, Matt, the developer, about election season is the pooling data. As election day draws near, I refresh clear politics repeatedly throughout the day to see the latest poll drops. I refresh the Wikipedia pages of polls. I review crosstabs, add them to my own models, and determine which polls I think are accurate or not. When setting out to make the electorate, the one system I knew I really needed to get right was the pooling system. To me, it's bread and butter of the game, and I hope you can enjoy them as much as I do. Poolster. Poolster, at least lately, have struggled at times to get things right. 2016 was an infamous year for Poolster, where polls incorrectly predict that Hillary Clinton would defeat Donald Trump, but also struggled to capture the right margins with Brexit, where most polls were showing a small but apparent victory for the Remain side. In 2020, polls severely underestimated Donald Trump, but in 2024 they actually got things right. All of all of this to say that pools are weird, and even when averaged together, outliers have a decent shot at being correct from time to time. To model this variability in the electorate, we create 12 different poolsters who will be taking new pools every turn. Each poolster has different leanings and aptitudes, which are rated on a classic AF grading scale. As you can see, these are the pools. He managed to update that, so this is not very accurate, but as you can see, it's pretty decent right now. I mean, in this one, with the margin of error by 3, 4, 4.5, and all the stuff here. A-grade poolsters supposedly have solid accuracy and you'll see lower margin of error, the percentage difference of what the sample could actually be in a positive or a negative direction as a result. For example, if Gettysburg Group, one of the pollsters in the game, says Ron DeSantis has 48% nationally and the margin of error MOE for that pool is 2.8%, then Ron DeSantis either has 50.8% or 45.2%. This is actually a very good MOE and is a reflection of the Gettysburg Group's A grade. However, you still might want to be cautious. Gettysburg Group, despite being accurate most of the time, does have a slight partisan lean to the right and might tend to favor Republicans a little too much. Luckily, you have 11 other polls to sit through that week, with some pollsters being left-leaning or others that are truly centrist but may have a slight issue with accuracy because they favor a large online survey collection and therefore receive C grades and have a higher margin of error. Pooling averages fog of war. For players of RTS like me, Fog of War, it's a real dump. It's a real struggle. It's a real pain in the back. All 12 posters have the post aggregate for the week, delivering an average for each candidate. This creates two issues for your campaign. First, because this is an average, it's impossible to know if you are actually at the percentage the polling says you are at. This is a concept we are calling fog of war, which is a term you have probably seen in other games. Ultimately, fog of war in this case just means you are operating somewhat blind. The second issue this presents is that you may not know where to focus your sources. Since polls are conducted both nationally and on the state level, there's a lot of noise to sift through. For example, say you are playing as Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, and you've decided to focus on boosting turnout in the Atlanta metro area. Polls in Georgia, only 2 weeks away from election day, are showing that you are up 49.5% to Nikki Haley's 47.2%. Georgia is a big state, so a 2% lead is many thousands of votes, but you have 3 polls that show you at 47% and 2 polls showing you at 51%. The other 7 have you around 48-49%. Do you trust the Georgian locked up and move your dwindling money and resources into North Carolina? Or are those 3 polls enough to keep you in the state but possibly make you less competitive elsewhere? These are decisions that real campaigns have to make, and it's no different in the electorate. I should also point out that the percentage you see when you select a county are in fact polls. However, they are a little different than the national public polls. There are over 3,000 counties and running 12 different polls, and then the averaging each of them for the week would result in approximately 41,000 calculations every turn. While modern computers are great, this is a bugged system on top of everything else the game does every turn, and is therefore being left out. However, that is not to say that counties are not getting polls. Whenever you select a county, a small calculation is immediately triggered and will fit the percentages with a poll set to a margin of error of 4%. It will then give you an estimated turnout number for the county so that you can get an idea of the actual gun game. This, to me, is a compromise for the sake of accessibility. County polls are being called when needed, and a 4% MOE is wide enough for variability but close enough for helpfulness. It's also important to note that your opponent will also be operating their campaign based on these fog of war polls. The AI has no access to the actual math of the election, as it's just as informed as you are. We reach the end of the dialogue with the private polls. One way that we can make up for the lack of clarity around public polls is to hire our own pollster. There are a number of pollsters you can hire in the electorate to help you make sense of what's happening. You can take polls on the national and state levels. What you're most looking for here is the margin of error. You'll find that more expensive pollster provides a lower margin of error. However, that doesn't mean the margin of error is guaranteed. Private polls are significantly more likely to be within the margin of error than not, but it is impossible for them not to. Keep in mind that private polls are taken on the current state of the election, but are not delivered until the next turn, which means it's technically all data. It may be more accurate than the last week's public polls, but a lot can change in 1 week. And with that, we end this dialogue. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have your mind running like mine about what the game will be, what will happen, and that's it. I see you in the next one. Thanks so much for listening and reading with me. Bye.